Hello and welcome back to Euro Football Daily, where today we're looking at 10 football jobs you had no idea existed. Number 10. Throwing coach. In the summer of 2019, eyebrows were raised among football's surviving dinosaurs when it was announced that Liverpool were hiring a specialist throw-in coach for the season ahead. Thomas Gronemark, a Danish former athlete and holder of the world record for the longest throw-in ever, arrived at Melrose from FC Midtjylland, where his work had helped secure a second title in 3 years, as the club scored 25 of their 80 goals from set pieces. By Gronemark's calculations, teams often lose possession on more than 50% of their throws, and his work with Liverpool focused on three main areas: long throws, mostly into the box, fast throws to spark counterattacks, and clever throws to create space for the receiver and recycle possession. And despite the mockery, after 29 games, Trent Alexander-Arnold is the league leader in chances created from throw-ins on 3, with Sheffield United's Ender Stevens the only other player in the Prem to have managed more than one. And whether coincidentally or not, Liverpool have gone from being dispossessed by their opponents 11.2 times a game in 2018-19 to just 7.9 times a game this season, as well as netting a league-leading 8 counter-attack goals at the time of writing. If being mocked by idiots who played their last game in the 80s is the price of a record-breaking title win, it's a price that Liverpool, and every other team, would be happy to pay every year. Number 9. Dubious Goals Committee. Everyone who has ever played fantasy football knows the tension of seeing the ball hit the net after a goal-mouth scramble and not knowing whether it'll be credited to your player or labelled an own goal. But you may not know the shadowy organisation making that decision. That's the job of the Dubious Goals Committee, a 3-person panel of former players and football officials who determine the scorer of any contested goal in the course of the Premier League season. This can often be more complicated than it seems. The committee checks multiple angles of footage to determine who got the last telling touch, but even then, they often have to make a judgment call. An attacking player is credited with the goal if their shot was on target before taking a deflection off a defender, but in long-range attempts, especially on windy days or with significant movement on the ball, it can be hard to tell whether the initial effort was going to trouble the keeper. The panel usually convenes several times a campaign when they have multiple incidents to examine, and they focus solely on goal scorers, with no say on assists, which are generally assigned by data companies or even clubs themselves. However, you won't be able to hunt them down next time you lose a fantasy match week. The identities of the panel's members are kept secret to prevent them coming under outside pressure. Number 8. Player Liaison Officer. Football is, for better or worse, a sport played by young people. Players have often spent most of their childhoods in schools which focus on sport over education, and once they become professionals, they're set loose with infinite money and little guidance. So, to help alleviate the substance abuse, depression and loneliness which plagued footballers for decades, clubs now employ player liaison officers, all-purpose fixers who are on hand to solve every conceivable problem for them. The responsibilities of PLOs range from obtaining translators for new arrivals, to renewing passports for players, to booking travel, counselling the squad if they are homesick or facing other personal difficulties, and even arranging suits and churches for weddings. A combination of older sibling, therapist and executive assistant, they're increasingly called upon to organise player finances, preventing them from losing cash to the friends and businesses seeking to exploit their wealth, and making sure they have financial security when their time in the game comes to an end. While the role has often been seen as babying players, with Jamie Carragher once attributing England's exit from Euro 2016 at the hands of Iceland to mollycoddling, PLOs take care of all the things players don't have time to, as well as lifting a fraction of the pressure youngsters face on becoming nationally famous overnight. Perhaps, as well as being glamorous and well paid, we might want to admit that being a footballer can also be hard sometimes. Number 7. Chaplain. While football may have taken a long time to care about mental health or even physical issues like concussion, it seems that the spiritual well-being of players has been a concern for much longer. As recently as 2016, 72 out of 92 clubs in the Premier League and EFL had club chaplains, Christian clergy assigned to provide non-judgmental support to staff and players. Though Christian themselves, chaplains are not tasked with spreading their own religion's message, but instead performing a counselling role, listening to problems and helping people through difficult times in their lives, as well as helping clubs connect to the wider community. When Bournemouth's Harry Arter and his partner lost a baby in 2015, the player reportedly sought out the club's captain for advice and support. while Burnley's chaplain, Barry Hunter, has set up weekly meetings at Turf Moor for isolated older people who are feeling lonely and want to make new friends. As football has become more lucrative, clubs have increased their international presence, often forgetting the local supporters in pursuit of a global audience. Club chaplains may seem like a thing of the past, but if they keep sides rooted in the areas they come from, perhaps they understand the sport better than the people who run it. Number 6. Mascot. Mascots are now everywhere in football, with every Premier League club boasting at least one. These range from the embarrassing, West Ham's Hammerhead, to the beloved, like Arsenal's Gunnosaurus, who debuted in 1993. Unsurprisingly, the year Jurassic Park brought dinosaurs back to the forefront of popular culture. Since then, mascots, like every aspect of the game, have become vehicles for corporate synergy. In 2016, Leicester announced that Filbert Fox had signed a boot deal with Puma, which saw him wear the German company's Evo Speed tricks over the following 2 years. And some clubs have even created dedicated corporate mascots to appear alongside the traditional ones. West Brom, as well as their long-lived Baggy the Bird, unveiled a second mascot, Boiler Man, a boiler with legs, in 2018, after signing a sponsorship deal with hull company Ideal Boilers. However, there is the odd ray of light even in this cynical area of the game. When Everton's mascot, Changi the Elephant, was retired after the Toffees deal with Thai beer company Chang came to an end in 2018, the club asked captain Phil Jagielka to walk onto the Goodison pitch accompanied by the world's first virtual mascot, a camera unit which was linked up to a 14-year-old fan bedridden by multiple illnesses. Perhaps more clubs should ask what they can give instead of take in the course of their pre-match pageantry. Number 5. Coffee maker. Maurizio Sarri is a man of strong habits. The Italian has famously struggled to curtail his smoking habit, with RB Leipzig even providing him with a special smoking area before Napoli's fixture with the Germans back in 2018. But like many Italians, he also insists on coffee made just the right way. And when he was Chelsea manager and asked if he found Antonio Conte a tough act to follow, he responded that he was having more trouble finding someone who could make him a cup like Tommaso. The Tommaso in question was Tommaso Starace, who joined Napoli in 1977 as an assistant to the club chef. Over the years, he carved out a special niche for himself, becoming the Partenopei's touchline barista, bringing coffee to players and coaches alike, including an espresso for Sarri during every break in training during the manager's 3 years with the side. In fact, Starace's skill is such that he almost changed the whole future of Napoli. Corriere dello Sport claimed that when Jurgen Klopp's Dortmund visited the Stadio San Paolo in 2012-13, the German was apparently so taken with the stadium, the supporters, and especially the coffee, he nearly accepted the head coach job that summer before it went to Rafa Benitez. Who knows, when Napoli eventually end their more than 30-year wait for a title, it could be Tommaso who proves to be the player of the season. Number 4. Cheerleaders. European football fans love nothing more than mocking American attempts to engage with the sport, but there's one very clear reminder of the USA's growing influence on the game: Crystal Palace's cheerleader squad, the Crystals. The group was formed in 2010 after Steve Parish took over the club, and now perform pre-match and halftime routines at all their games, alongside the club's bald eagle, Kayla. Though popular, with nearly 12,000 Instagram followers, the Crystals have come in for criticism in recent years. In 2018, professional darts scrapped walk-on girls, and Formula 1 retired the grid girls who would walk the track before races, prompting calls for Palace to do likewise and axe the Prem's only cheerleading team. Critics reasonably pointed out that this sort of entertainment was outdated, sexist, and could make visiting the ground uncomfortable for female supporters, but Palace chose to ignore this, backing the Crystals and praising them for their charity work. In a sport which has rarely shown much concern for women's issues, it's perhaps unsurprising that this symbol of patriarchy remains a regular sight at Premier League games. Hopefully this job is one which soon finds its way to the sporting scrap heap. Number 3. Sleep coach. With big clubs now employing specialists in everything from massage to cookery, it's no surprise that they've also found a way to take control of the hours their players are not training, while they're asleep. Nick Littlehales, a former golf player who then worked designing bedding and mattresses, was the first elite sleep coach in football back in the 1990s, offering his services to Alex Ferguson's Man United and quickly finding ways to alleviate recurrent injuries and fatigue. Littlehales' success saw him asked to help design United's new recovery room at the Carrington training ground, and he would go on to perform a similar service at Chelsea, Real Madrid and Arsenal. The Guardian even reported that the England national team sent Littlehales to their hotel for Euro 2004 to strip the beds and prepare them for the players' individual requirements. A process involving adding mattress toppers, changing linen, putting up blackout blinds, adjusting the temperature, and putting filters over air conditioners to remove allergens. Little Hale's focus on detail extends to teaching players, among them Steven Gerrard, what position to lie in, as well as encouraging players to sleep in separate beds from their partners the night before a game. Who knows, perhaps the right mattress and curtains are the only things standing between you and a career in top-level football. Number 2. Brother. So we're sure that this isn't the job title on anyone's LinkedIn, but it seems that being the brother of a footballer can be almost as profitable as being one yourself. Back in 1997, Paul Merson's brother was given a £400 a week contract by Middlesbrough to convince the Arsenal midfielder to play for them, a move which backfired, with Merse claiming that he, his brother and Paul Gascoigne would spend their evenings playing drinking games. The drinking may have changed, but the family entourage is alive and well in 2020. Crystal Palace signed Jonathan Benteke for their development squad in 2016, even giving him a single Premier League appearance when he replaced his brother Christian against Middlesbrough. When Man City acquired the famously homesick Jesus Navas in 2013, they tried to help him settle in by recommending the Spaniard's brother Marco to nearby League 2 outfit Bury. And AC Milan, who had let Gianluigi Donnarumma's older brother Antonio leave their youth squad in 2012, brought him back from Greek side Asteras Tripolis in 2017. A clever move in their contract negotiations with their young superstar. Earning a reported €1 million a week, suspiciously high for a third-choice keeper in Italy, Antonio is yet to make a single league appearance for the Rossoneri in his 7 years at the San Siro. But he did make headlines for good reasons in January 2020, keeping a clean sheet in a Coppa Italia win over Spal to become the first Milan stopper not to concede in his first 300 minutes for the club. Watch out, Gianluigi. Number 1. Faith healer. Looking back at the fitness practices and transfer fees, the 1990s might as well have been the footballing dark ages. But one man was on a mission to make a game of hard men and 4-4-2 more touchy-feely. England manager Glenn Hoddle. The former Spurs and Monaco star was always outspoken about his Christian faith, but he made headlines on becoming Three Lions boss when he brought on as the squad's advisor longtime friend Eileen Drury, a spiritualist and faith healer. Hoddle had met Drury in the 70s when he briefly dated her daughter, but she quickly became his guru after her prayers apparently helped him recover from a hamstring injury. When he became a manager at Swindon, Chelsea and England, he took Drury with him to heal the players, and she would later claim to have cured Paul Merson's drug addictions. However, the FA found Drury's presence embarrassing, and she was not permitted to travel with the England squad to the 1998 World Cup. Nonetheless, Hoddle continued to take her advice at a distance, touching his players over their hearts before matches and instructing them to walk around the pitch anti-clockwise before their second round game against Argentina to create positive energy. England went out on penalties, and Hoddle later said that if Drury had been there in person, his team might have won the tournament. In the end, the relationship indirectly led to Hoddle's sacking, as he gave an interview to The Times to defend his unusual practices, only to accidentally reveal that he thought disabled people were being punished for sins committed in previous lives. Shockingly, Drury was not kept on. So that's all we've got time for on EFD this week, but who would you have included? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, drop us a like and make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell to never miss a video, and we'll see you next time.